If you love soccer, if you don't have time to be on Twitter all day, and if you may have missed a few stories from last week, then this is your show. We're covering the top stories, or at least what I think is the top stories from last week, this week, whenever you catch it. It just happened. Our first story starts off with the U.S. men's national team, and not the one that just crashed out, talking about the Olympic roster that did not include everyone's favorite come-up story, Diego Luna. For those who don't know, Diego Luna got his start in the USL and quickly became one of the breakout stars of the USL, and shortly after became the highest transfer fee for a player from the USL to the MLS, and has been going crazy ever since. A lot of people thought Diego Luna might even have a shot at making the Copa America squad. When he didn't make that, everybody, including probably him, was sure that he was going to make the Olympic team. So after getting the snub, not only were we shocked, he was upset as well, which anybody can understand. When he was asked if he wanted to be an alternate for injuries, he declined, which I actually really respect, and another reason why I love the scrappy Diego Luna. But what we really love Diego Luna is how scrappy and how persistent he is in the face of adversity. Soon as getting the news that he did not make the U.S. men's national team for the Olympics, he goes on to thrash Atlanta, puts on a clinic, and has the assist hat trick, and finishes off the night in the 84th minute with a beautiful bouncing volley to have 3 assists and a goal on the night, and gives the figurative, you know what I'm trying to say, to the U.S. men's national team. Diego Luna has been one of the best up-and-coming players the U.S. has actually produced in a while. When we talk about homegrown products, he is a homegrown product. He didn't go to Europe at 5 years old. He didn't live here for 2 weeks and then, no, he's an actual homegrown player. Obviously, there is MLS players on the Olympic rosters. Whoever bias is keeping Diego Luna off that team is a shame. And as we can see, Diego Luna is a player and deserves a chance in a big tournament. My hometown team, Inter Miami, took a little bit of a knock yesterday, but that did put FC Cincinnati back in the top spot. And for anybody who needed a reminder, reigning MVP Lucho Acosta is still that guy. Lucho Acosta, in 1,224 minutes played, has 8 goals and 13 assists. FC Cincinnati is not only a contender for the Shield, but Lucho Acosta is ready to put his name back in that hat for MVP again. FC Cincinnati news, Tom Bogert is reporting that FC Cincinnati's attempts to sign Weston McKennie may have stalled. We may not be seeing that happen, at least for now. Moving right on in transfer news, ATL Atlanta United is just doing things right, at least when it comes down to business. For those who haven't heard, Chelsea seems to be in the market for Atlanta left back and U.S. international Caleb Wiley. You may remember Caleb for having one of the craziest debuts as a defender ever. If not, get to know this kid. He's very exciting to watch, and it would be awesome to see another actual homegrown product head overseas. But the big news coming out of Atlanta is, of course, Thiago Almada, who is headed to Botafogo, the club owned by John Textor, who also owns Lyon, Crystal Palace, and the Belgian side Molenbeek. This is an interesting move because of the multi-tier system that John Textor has created. We most likely will get to see him in Ligue 1 playing for Lyon. For you who are unfamiliar, is one of the top clubs in Ligue 1, the French league, which I've covered for years, and it's also one of my favorite teams. So it will be really cool to see how he does at that level of competition. Before moving on, another piece of transfer news that I thought might interest the U.S. fan base is one of my favorite players coming out of France. I've covered him quite a bit with my work with Get French Football News. His name is Enzo Laffi. Enzo made a big move to Rennes, which is another top 5, top 10 club in France, in Ligue 1. I first seen Enzo Laffi when he was playing with Lorient. Him and a few of the other players there created one of the most exciting teams of that year before making his big move to Rennes. And he has continued to progress, but I don't think he's anywhere near his prime. So where's he headed? He's headed to Roma. I I know a lot of the Serie A fans here in the States are Roma fans. If you are, you have a phenomenal player who I think will eventually be a French national team regular. So great pickup by Roma. All of my MLS youth, for all my MLS Next fans and US soccer fans, the boy Kevin Sullivan, at 14 years old, scored a professional goal, his first professional goal, and what a goal it was. What I loved about the goal is a lot of people don't understand what type of player he is. He is a box-to-box player. He runs hard, and to see that explosion amongst grown men and to get forward and to score that goal was highly impressive, and I think it made a lot of doubters change their tune a little bit. So congrats to the boy for scoring his first goal, and I hope to see many more, but great job there. We finished the wrap up with some comments by Bielsa. He made some comments that yes, the game is growing and it has the most viewers ever, but he seems to think that the sport or FIFA or whoever is picking business over the game. For people who are familiar with Bielsa, he is a savant of the game, but not everything he says is crystal clear. I think he brings up an interesting point that modern soccer is getting away from what made it great. And using Copa America and the Euros, for example, I personally, everybody knows I am a Le Bleu fan through and through. I love the French national team. It's who I root for. That's my team. However, my issue with Deschamps is they play a very efficient defensive style of soccer. If you look at that back line, it's 4 center backs, to be honest. That's what it is. And they use transition to score. Without individual brilliance, those games are not exciting, right? Those games are not fun to watch. Like, they're not Brazil, right? Well, the old Brazil. No disrespect. I love Brazil. But it's effective, right? And the U.S. tried to copy this in a way. If you look at that back line the U.S. had, there was no fullbacks. There was no fullbacks being utilized. They did not get out. They didn't get wide, and they did not create a lot of chances. Crosses equal goals. And when you have 4 center backs on that back line, there's teams that want that. And I love defense, but fullbacks belong in the modern game. And if not, you want a 3-man back line. Get some wing backs that can move that ball and create some brilliance from the outside. One of the things Bielsa mentioned is that the style in which you play also matters. And it has to. If you watch the Euros and you watched every game go to these penalty shootouts, which penalty shootouts are exciting, but when you watch these games go to penalty shootouts and you watch Germany and France, which again I love, and England, just play this very conservative and result-driven soccer, and the U.S. tried to do the same thing. The U.S. has players, man. They have players who are capable of creating pretty soccer, beautiful soccer. And then you have the teams that went out to play, who pressed high. And you watch Canada, which I can't believe I'm saying this. If you watch Canada, that team looked more like Brazil than Brazil did. That Canada game, the last Canada game, I was shocked at how well Canada was getting forward, winning the ball high, moving the ball, the interchange between players. Some was free-flowing, it was creative, it was exciting. That was the best game I've watched during Copa America. Argentina and Canada are playing the most exciting brand of soccer that is in either one of these tournaments, and it's only fitting that we get to see them play together. That's crazy because some may argue that their best player is injured. So I can't definitively tell you what Bielsa meant by his comments. I think there's room for interpretation. But what I do know, for the last few years, we've had to hear about super leagues. We've had FIFA approve other leagues getting to play league games in the US. This globalization of soccer is ruining the game. And the US market confuses big names with quality. And what we have to understand that yes, the Premier League is wonderful. It has a lot of great players and they do play fast and hard, right? But just look at the opinion of James Rodriguez. Oh, he was at some of the best clubs in the world. They talked about it in the past tense. James Rodriguez has been one of the best players in Copa America, and he plays in one of the best leagues in the world. I prefer to watch the Brazilian league. Truth is, the Brazilian league, the French league, Eredivisie league. Some of these leagues play a more exciting, fun version of the game, style of the game than some of these big leagues that are supposed to be great. If we pick results and money and globalization over the game, then I do agree that at some point it's not going to be an attractive brand of soccer, and all this momentum that we built up over the last few years will go away. Which is why I support the MLS, which is why I support our players, and which is why the national team should also support our players. The MLS is a melting pot. And when you have a melting pot like Liga, it creates different styles and leaves room for individuality. So one team might play a completely different brand of soccer than the other. And that's beautiful. And to finish, I think it's super disrespectful when we have other leagues coming to play league games in the US. So that might not be exactly what Bielsa was talking about, but it definitely is in the same conversation.